Hi, I'm Laura Geis. Welcome back to week 5 in the God Success Secrets video series. This week's success secret says, focus on your future. We are going to have fun today because we're going to spend some time daydreaming about your ideal future. And I even brought some show and tell today. When my husband and I were first married, we were lucky enough that we had enough money put together that we purchased a small house in our little town in Indiana, and we were very happy in that little house, but we always dreamed of one day building our own home. So a lot of times on Sunday afternoons we drive around town looking at all the land for sale. We wanted to find the ideal spot for this perfect home for us. And lo and behold, one weekend we found the perfect spot. It was hilly, wooded acres with a pond on a nice quiet cul-de-sac. We thought, this is perfect for us. So we bought the land. But we weren't nearly prepared to build yet. We were just starting our family and paying off student loans and all those things that newly married couples go through. So we sat on that land for 10 years before we ever broke ground. But in the meantime, during those 10 years, we took constant pictures of houses that we liked or features that we liked in homes, and I would clip articles out of magazines, and we looked at what kind of paint colors did we want, and boy, by the time those 10 years had gone by, we had pictured in our minds exactly what we wanted this house to look like. And after 10 years, we did break ground and we built that house, and it does look almost exactly like the pictures that we dreamed of, our ideal home. And the show and tell I brought today, I know you won't be able to see it up close, but it's this photo album that we started when we bought the land. So on the first page, there's a picture of just the raw land with weeds, and it was just kind of wild and crazy. And there's a creek going across the front, and you had to have a little bridge even to get across the creek to walk up the hill onto the land. So we have a picture of that. And then as our house progressed, we have pictures of the bulldozers and the backhoes and the culvert going in and digging the foundation, and the kids standing in the house when it's all framed up. So we kept a little record of our house. And still, when we add something to the house, we'll snap a picture of it, and this is kind of our dream as it keeps progressing. And here's a picture of my husband with a bunch of his buddies pouring our front sidewalk. Boy, that was a hot day, and I remember one of my sons, they had just gotten the concrete smoothed out perfectly, and one of my sons jumped in the concrete, landed both feet. And I remember, instead of getting mad, I just said, somebody go get a camera. This will make a hilarious picture. So we snapped his picture, and then we hosed off his feet and started over on the concrete. But we have some very special memories of building our ideal dream house. So the reason this house came about, and it turned out to be our ideal house, was because we had spent so much time preparing for it to happen. We had spent hours driving on all the roads in our town looking for the perfect location. We'd been to home shows and home improvement stores and looked at all the home decorating magazines and had all of our ideas in a file. And if the contractor had a question for me about how I wanted something to look, I could pull out a picture and say, can you make it look just like this? We had spent so much time in the preparation that the actual building of the house went relatively smoothly. And unlike some couples I've heard of when they're building a house, we didn't have those arguments as we were building. We had thoroughly decided on exactly what we wanted. We'd come to an agreement, and that's how our ideal house came to be. Now, in this series, you're trying to create an ideal life for yourself, and it has something to do with that goal that you made way back in week 1. Well, how are you preparing yourself now to make that goal happen? You know, I've heard a statistic, and I'm not sure what the exact numbers are off the top of my head, about lottery winners. That a lot of lottery winners, when they win big money, end up bankrupt after just a few years because they aren't prepared to handle all that money. That's a big job, and if it comes at you too fast, you're not ready for it. And sometimes we want something to happen in our lives, and God knows that we're not prepared for it yet. So He wants to take some time preparing us to be ready for that thing. Like, I'm trying to get my second book published. Well, if it happened right now, I probably wouldn't be ready, but He's using this time to prepare me for the things I'll need to do as that happens. So preparation is key, but you have to know what you're preparing for, and that's where focus on the future comes into play. In Romans 8:25 it says, "But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently." It's going to come, we just need to wait for it patiently, but we've got to hope for it. And hope means we know it's going to happen. So what I want you to do in your journal today is take some time and daydream about your ideal life. And it can revolve around that goal you set for yourself. If you reach that goal, how is that going to change your life? How is that going to change how you spend your day? You know, how you spend your time, or where you're going to live, or what kind of people you're going to spend time with. How can reaching that one goal change your life? What does your ideal future look like? Just like my husband and I pictured in our minds our ideal dream house, I want you to picture in your mind your ideal life. And what is that going to look like? And then I want you to write a number 1 and a number 2, because I want you to write down 2 things that you can do right now to prepare yourself for that goal to happen. What is it that has to be put in place before God can bless you with that thing that you're asking Him for? What do you have to do now to prepare for that? The same way that my husband and I did all the research on the land and what we wanted things to look like. What is the preparation that God is asking you to do? And sometimes it seems like it's taking forever to reach that goal, but just know that every day is a preparation for that future thing. And keep those 2 things in mind. What are those 2 things you can do right now to prepare that will propel you closer and closer to your ideal future? So get out your journal and do your homework. Remember, this week's Success Secret says, focus on your future. Then you're going to write out what is your ideal life, and in as much detail as you can possibly get it. And then what are 2 steps that you can take right now that will prepare you to have that ideal future. And it goes without saying that once you write down those 2 steps, that you need to follow through and do those 2 steps. Well, I will see you next time with another God Success Secret.